Rangers appear to have been handed a welcome lift on the transfer front following the arrival of new manager Danny Rohl. The club's sporting structure is already showing signs of movement, with Andrew Cavenagh playing a key role in shaping what could be a significant boost ahead of the next transfer window. His latest decision could offer Rohl a stronger foundation as he looks to rebuild and refresh the squad at Ibrox in the months ahead. Let's break this down in today's video, along with all the other Rangers news from the last 24 hours. There is so much to discuss in today's video, so be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for daily Rangers content. But first, Patrick Stewart issued a defiant response as he insisted he has never considered quitting his Rangers post despite protests against his position. The Ibrox chief executive has faced calls to resign from Rangers supporters over the failed appointment of Russell Martin and the challenging start to the season. However, Stewart vowed he had never thought about quitting his role. Speaking at the press conference to unveil Danny Rohl as the new manager of Rangers, Stewart said, "No, I've never considered quitting. I am determined to work incredibly hard together with everyone else at the club to take Rangers back to where it belongs." Responding to the same question on whether he ever felt he wanted to leave his role over criticism, Thelwell said, "I understand their criticism. We have got to do much better, but Rangers, to me, is something worth fighting for. And so what I am going to do next, and we are all going to do next, is work as hard as we can to give the fans and this football club something to be proud of." Earlier, asked for a message to supporters and about protests that have called for him to leave the club, Stewart said, "I totally understand the frustration and hurt because the results this season haven't been good enough. Nobody's happy with those. The hurt and frustration they feel is mirrored in the boardroom. I understand that there has to be an outlet for those frustrations, and as chief executive, yes, that's me. I am a lightning rod for those. My role as a leader, though, is to absorb that, but also to work hard, work harder, and make sure that we turn this around. We've got to earn that trust." Stewart's comments are unlikely to silence critics, despite his insistence that he remains fully committed to the job. While he pledged to work harder and help steer Rangers back on course, frustration among supporters shows little sign of easing after another turbulent period at Ibrox. His defiant stance makes clear he has no plans to walk away, but whether fans will accept his assurances or see them as more words than action remains to be seen. Now, Andrew Cavenagh insists more money will be pumped into Rangers this winter if the club feels the squad needs strengthening during the January transfer window. The chairman says he and other key figures at Ibrox will maintain dialogue with new head coach Danny Rohl over the coming months to determine the club's strategy for the next transfer market. Rangers spent big during the summer, but also brought in plenty of funds, with the likes of Hamza Igerman and Cyril Dessers sold on. With just one win in 8 league games so far this term, the early signs appear to be that the first team squad isn't up to scratch. While they're hoping Rohl can get better out of the players already in the building, Cavenagh admits he and Parag Marath didn't expect the squad to be complete at this stage. "We will sit with Danny over the next 2 months as we go through this series of matches and look at what the squad needs," he told Sky Sports. "We do not believe the squad is complete today. We didn't believe it coming out of the summer window. We've always known that we probably need a little bit more experience and steel, and we didn't expect to get everything we wanted in one window. If there's something that we need to do in the January window, then yeah, we can put more money into the club." It was then put to the successful American businessman if the task of owning Rangers has been tougher than anticipated. He responded, "We expected it to be tough. We were not under any false pretense that we thought it was going to be a walk in the park. If it was, everybody would do it, and everyone would succeed. At the same time, we didn't expect to be where we are today. But it's only increased our resolve to turn this around, start winning matches, and get our supporters really excited about this football club." Cavanagh's comments underline both a recognition of Rangers' current shortcomings and a willingness to act decisively in January if required. While his admission that the squad remains incomplete will raise further questions over the club's summer business, his pledge to inject more funds offers some reassurance that lessons have been learned. Still, talk of renewed investment will only carry weight if results improve under Danny Rohl, and supporters will expect actions, not promises, to define the club's response to a faltering start. In other news, Kevin Thelwell has directly addressed the decision to appoint his son Robbie to a key role at Rangers. At the unveiling of Danny Rohl as the club's new manager, Thelwell was quizzed on the recruitment of Robbie Thelwell as head of recruitment. The sporting director insisted his son doesn't need my help in his football career, as he stated the decision to bring him to Rangers was led by technical director Dan Purdy. Purdy had wanted to take Thelwell Jr. to Everton in his previous role, but Thelwell Sr. stopped the appointment, stating he didn't believe his son was ready for the position. However, when Purdy pushed for Thelwell Jr. to be recruited by Rangers, sporting director Thelwell admitted it was difficult to say no. Thelwell Jr. will report to Purdy in his role at Ibrox. I think it is always uncomfortable to hear, said Thelwell, of criticism from supporters over his son's appointment. And optically, I think we all agreed when we made this step to appoint Robbie that it was going to be seen in a particular way. But the reality of the situation is we want to bring the very best talent here to Rangers Football Club. My view on Robbie's career, Robbie's situation is, he doesn't need my help in football. He has worked at Aston Villa as a senior scout, he then moved to Norwich City as head of scouting and then got promoted to player pathways manager. And before we recruited him, 2 Premier League clubs wanted to take him. Dan Purdy, who is the technical director, who he will work for, wanted to take him to Everton Football Club when I was there. I told him that shouldn't be the case and I didn't think he was ready. But when the situation came around again and Dan wanted to take him again, it was very difficult to say no. What we did do right at the very start of that process was to talk to Patrick, to Andrew, Parag and the board and talk to them about the situation. I was extremely transparent about that was what Dan wanted to do. And I think Robbie probably went through a more rigorous process than probably anybody else that is employed by this football club, truth be known. What I do know is he will work 25/8 to bring success for this football club, and him and Dan will work very closely together and very well together. And I am looking forward to him proving that he is going to be an excellent employee for Rangers. Thelwell's comments appear aimed at quelling concerns and reinforcing transparency within the club structure. By outlining the recruitment process and stressing his son's qualifications, he's made clear that merit, not family ties, guided the decision. Still, with emotions running high among supporters, it's now up to results and professionalism behind the scenes to prove that the appointment truly serves Rangers' best interests. But that is all for today's video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We post all the latest Rangers news every single day, so join our fast growing community so you never miss out. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video.